What up, nerds? And welcome back to Lily's Ranger Talk, the show where I haven't talked about Power Rangers in a hot second, in about 5 episodes. And that's mainly because I haven't really been doing much with Power Rangers lately. I actually just started last night, at the time recording this, which is today February 5th? Yes. As of yesterday, I started watching Power Rangers SPD. Not necessarily for the first time. I've watched the first couple episodes like 5 years ago. Um, because I have seen at least every single Power Rangers. Um, I've seen at least one episode in every season, but I've never fully watched all of the seasons. Just because I never did. Um, I was a Time Force stan, and I would only watch Time Force. But anyways, I also kind of just been upset with Power Rangers lately, with how it's been treated by Hasbro, and how it's been treated in general as just, oh look, it's MMPR, we're gonna do all this MMPR stuff. Wait, we have other seasons? Yes, Hasbro, there are 29 other seasons of Power Rangers. Am I correct? 29? Yeah, 29. And look, MMPR is what it is. Like, it's the first season, it's a classic. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing that they do MMPR, but at this point, children, like, they're trying to aim it at adult collectors, and that's obvious, because if you were to ask a child what Power Rangers are, I bet you, unless they're like my nephew, where his parents, my older brother, showed him Power Rangers, specifically Mighty Morphin, um, they would not know what Mighty Morphin is. And there's a good chance that they might not even know what Dino Fury is or Beast Morphers. Again, unless the parents are showing them, you know, the media. And then I've been thinking about like Super Sentai. You know, it's been going on for longer. It's still going strong with really good seasons. I mean, Boomingers is good. Um, King Ogres, the previous season was great. I am very confident about Gozuger. Um, that looks like it's gonna be a fun time. And they have all these things in Japan. Like they have the Super Sentai restaurant. They have the Toei Studio Park, where you can go and see like all the Reds from the previous seasons. They have G Theater Rosso. I probably messed up the name of that because G Rosso Theater, where they do like stage shows. They have all this stuff, and the closest thing we had to like a lot of Power Rangers merchandise was back in like the 2000s to like 2010 when Disney had Power Rangers. They did the whole Disney seasons. They did like the Power Rangers thing where they were driving in the car, and it was 5 Rangers from each previous team. And then then one from the current team. No, it was 4, and then one from the current team, which I did when I was a kid. I got to meet the Mystic Force Pink Ranger, which is very funny because at that time, again, I was a Time Force stan. I didn't watch Mystic Force at that time. Um, so it's so funny to think that I met the Mystic Force Pink Ranger, and I didn't know much about her. I knew her name was Vita, and that was all I knew. And it's funny because she's one of my favorite Pink Rangers now. But anyways, I digress. One of the things that I have seen talked about a lot on Power Rangers Instagram is how Power Rangers would be a much better franchise if it was in the hands of a fan. And as a fan of the Power Rangers, I would love to talk about what I personally would do with the series and the franchise. Um, Whether that is a new season, a park, or something like that. I just wanted to talk about what I would do personally if I had the money, and because I have all these ideas of what we could do with the series, but in the franchise, I keep saying series. But yeah, let's get started and talking about that. That was a very long intro. So the first thing I want to talk about is what I would do with the series. Like, would I continue the series? I know some people are like, oh, I want an animated show and I want this, this, and this. Would I want an animated show? Sure, why not? I know it was in the works and then I think it got canceled recently. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. However, I don't know if I necessarily want it to be like a Mighty Morphin animated series. It's not a bad idea, and it definitely can help with the kids to reintroduce them. However, again, I think it would be cool if they did like what they did with Cosmic Fury, where they had their original suits, but like you could do whatever you want with original suits if they're animated. Like you can make them look so cool. And I just think there's so much potential in making your own suit from scratch through animation. And I know nothing about like doing animation, but I just think that would be a great idea. I think you can have some innovations doing like, maybe you could do different things with the characters themselves. Maybe you can even make them not human, which, I mean, granted, we have done that in PR before. Obviously, Trip is one. The Aquitar Rangers are some. Who else is non-human? Andros and Corone technically aren't human. And Orion. But they're human-like. But you know what I mean? I think you can go... Oh, and A-Squad Blue, I believe, is not human either. But I think you can go, like, full out with, like, the character designs. However, I am a sucker for live action, and I would miss the live action Power Ranger seasons. I actually kind of wish we had more Power Ranger seasons. The question is, what Sentai seasons would they adapt? Because I think if they are going to do live action, I personally think it would just be easier and potentially cheaper. I think it is cheaper just to do, adaptations of Sentai seasons. Which ones would I personally pick? There's so many that were not adapted, and a lot of people are like, ToQGers is never getting adapted, and as much as I really would love to see a ToQGers adaptation, it's never gonna happen. I mean, none of these are ever gonna happen now because Hasbro killed the franchise. But if I were to adapt a season, would you believe me if I say Kira Majors would be like one of the top picks for me? I know, right? I'm a Kira Major hater, but the suits are great, and I think there's a lot of potential to make Kira Majors a Kira Major adaptation a good series. Plus, especially since we are now used to seeing a female Green Ranger, it isn't really that crazy to, see another female Green. And one of the things that I wish happened is I really do wish that Cosmic Fury would have done more than just adapt the Zords from Kyuranger. I wish Kyuranger was it was a Kyuranger adaptation. I'm also kind of glad it wasn't because, again, Kyurangers is my favorite Super Sentai season, and I wouldn't want Power Rangers to touch it and ruin it. But yeah, I think Kira Majors would have great potential. I also saw a YouTube short on this, and I cannot remember who made the video, so shoutouts to to the guy who made this video, who brought up a really good point about King Ohgers being the perfect Super Sentai adaptation. I 100% agree. They were talking about how, like, could be like a blast from the past, like we're back in time. I would even be fine if they kept the plot of King Ohger very similar to what it was in the show. I do think it would make more sense. They mentioned this, that they'll probably be knights instead of kings. I do agree that I think that would be a better idea. But again, I think King Ohgers in itself, the season was good enough where it could be similar to how Shinkenger and Samurai were just a copy and paste. I know most of these seasons are copy and paste, but when I watched a little bit of Shinkenger last year, and how it felt very similar to, like, Samurai, like, it felt like a copy and paste on Power Rangers and not necessarily Super Sentai's. But yeah, I think King Ohgers could be a really great Super Sentai season, Power Ranger season, and bonus points if we made one of those Super Sentai Power Rangers non-binary, just like with Frida from King Ohger. I'm going to be saying Power Rangers when I mean Super Sentai, and Super Sentai when I mean Power Rangers a lot in this. One more season that I think would be perfect because of how big Minecraft is, and since I said Minecraft, you guys know what I'm going to be saying, but I really do think Zyuohgers would also be a really good idea. Because the problem with the other Super Sentai seasons are, Zenkaiger's not that bad, but the problem is with all the numbers, it's going to confuse everyone. And also, I mean, Toei did pick the seasons for this anniversary season in particular. They did pick ones, I'm pretty sure all of them, like the pink, yellow, blue, and red, all of their suits and, like, all of their, like, Zord-like things, they are adapted from Super Sentai seasons that have been adapted into Power Rangers. So I'm not saying they couldn't do it, but I think the whole numbers thing is going to be, like, really hard to, like, ignore. Then with Dome Brothers, it's based off of the Momotaro story. And, you know, I don't see any way they can work around that, in my opinion. And then what's the other show? Loop Hat. I think Loop Hat could be a great show, but with the motive of cops and robbers and how cops are portrayed in the media nowadays, it's not. It's exactly what Simon said. Simon, who was the producer of Power Rangers, that's what he was saying. Like, he would love to have done Loop Hat, but it's just that the motif was too real. But with Zyuohger, I think with the Minecraft-esque of the Zords and stuff, I think it's a great potential. And they could even go as far as maybe doing something similar to, like, a Jumanji situation, if you know what I mean, where it's a video game. I know the original Jumanji was a board game, but I'm thinking of, like, the newer movies of Jumanji, where maybe some of the Rangers are video game characters, and, like, this video game comes into the real world, and, like, that's where all the monsters and all the people come from. I think it's a very interesting concept, and man, I wish that Hasbro or whoever did it. Now that I've talked about what I would do with the series, I will talk about what I would do with the toy line, which, again, I have no, like, experience with baking toys. The closest thing I have is I paint mushrooms. But what would I do differently with the Lightning Collection? Specifically the Lightning Collection, because the Lightning Collection is dead, but if I was, like, in charge of that, what would I do differently? I think, to state the obvious, the number one thing I would do differently is make sure it's not just MMPR. I swear to God, I remember one of the live streams where it was like, oh, the Pink Rangers. I was so excited because back then I didn't know anything about leaks and stuff, and I was, like, praying that we'll get a Gen figure, because one of the things that really surprised me with Lightning Collection, even back when that leak originally suggested that the person who was going to get the Sector Cycle was Trip from Time Force, which made my heart happy until I woke up one morning and saw that it was Lucas, and yeah, that was the most maddest I've ever been. But anyways, it really did shock me that Time Force, as popular as of a season as it is, we only got 2 figures from Time Force, and it wasn't even Gen. And I thought, well, maybe we'll talk about Gen today at this live stream. But nope, it was the cel-shaded Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, because the last thing we needed was another Mighty Morphin figure, right? So yeah, one of the biggest things that I would make sure is that every single season gets them a Lightning Collection figure, because there were even some that didn't get Lightning Collection figures at all. Off the top of my head, Megaforce, Super Megaforce, Ninja Steel, I don't think got one. Jungle Fury didn't get one. What other Disney seasons didn't get one? Ninja Storm didn't get one. And then also Mystic Force didn't get one. And Operation Overdrive. I think those are all the seasons that didn't get any. I could be wrong. Yeah, because Turbo got one eventually. Oh yeah, and we didn't even get a Cosmic Fury basic figure, let alone a Lightning Collection figure. It's just like, it's so weird how many teams were completed, but there were teams that weren't even started, and then they would start teams and then not complete them. It's just wild. So I would make sure every team gets completed. Honestly, one of the things I also would probably do is do more team packs. Specifically, I am thinking about the Shoto Super figures. I think that's what they're called in Japan, where they are doing, like, team figures, and they're doing all, I don't know if they're planning on doing all of them, but they have done a lot of them. I know they've done Jetman, they've done Code Kaiser, they did Kaku Ranger, they even done some of the earlier seasons, like Sun Vulcan, Denji Man, I believe, Bioman, all of them. I would do more team figures, and, you know, put in as many accessories as I can. Yes, I know that would be expensive, but considering the Lightning Collection figures are specifically for adult buyers, as long as the quality is there, I'm sure people would buy them, if you know what I mean. That being said, I would also make sure to do a really good job with, like, the current seasons and making the toys for those seasons quality enough for, you know, adult collectors who want to just display them, and obviously children who want to play with them. My nephew plays with Power Rangers figures. I actually gave him a bunch of, like, Dino Fury figures. And then, what else did I do with my nephew? He was a Power Ranger for Halloween one year. A couple years ago, he was the Red Ranger. And my little Power Ranger's heart was so proud. He's just like me. But anyways, and I would actually make sure we get, like, as much as we can. Because with Cosmic Fury, we only got the Morpher and the Zords. We didn't even get a Fern figure, and I am still mad about that. Because I would love to have a Fern figure in my collection. Are you crazy? Like, so I can make them kiss Izzy and Fern. Anyways, I'm so gay. Anyways, but I would make sure we get figures, a morpher, the weapons, costume pieces, obviously, like for Halloween, which I cannot recall if Cosmic Fury did. No, they did, because I've seen the Red Ranger one. What else would we do? Zords. I don't know if I said that. And monster figures. Because another thing that I feel like both Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury, well, obviously Cosmic Fury, but Dino Fury specifically didn't do, is they did not do monster figures for, like, important monsters. They did Void Knight, they did Void King. I don't think they did Void Queen, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they did Void Queen. They didn't do Mucus, which confused me, because they did another one. They did, like, I think his name was Boomtower or something like that. And while he was, like, a prominent villain, I think he only lasted for a few episodes, while Mucus was, like, one of the main generals. And that also made me mad that we didn't get a Mucus figure, or a Sliver figure. I think that was his name. They were both great characters, and they both deserved figures. Especially Mucus, because she was there from the beginning. But yeah, I would make sure we get monster figures. I think, it was probably Dino Charge that did a lot of monster figures. I cannot recall, because I was not collecting the toys at the time. Which is one of my biggest, off topic for, like, slightly, but one of my biggest regrets was not collecting the Super Mega Force and the Mega Force figures. They are expensive online. I have the red, yellow, and pink one of the Mega Force. Look, if I knew I would have loved Ghost Ages and Go Kaijers in the future, a little Lily would have gotten them, okay? But I didn't. I didn't know I was gonna like Super Sentai. The last thing I wanted to talk about was, like, attractions and, like, themed stuff that we could do, in general, because I think Power Rangers has an opportunity to have, like, a good success with kids if they had, like, some sort of attraction or something similar to Super Sentai in Japan. And I know at Sesame Place a few years ago, I want to say it was either in 2022 or 2023, I could not remember, but you could meet the Power Rangers on, like, a certain day. But for starters, it was Mighty Morphin, which, again, kids won't know them unless their parents show them Mighty Morphin. Because, it's not that popular. And also, what really confused me is if the parents did know about Power Rangers and, like, the kids knew, they would have known about Dino Fury. So I don't know why they went with Mighty Morphin. I guess because it's Mighty Morphin. But that being said, what would I do, specifically to have attractions for kids and adults too? I think one of the main ones is doing something similar to what Disney did. Do I know where they would do this? No. But where they would have, like, a meet and greet with potentially the 5. What they can either do is they can do the current team, like all 5 current members of the current team, or they could do one ranger from each previous season and then one member from the new season, just like they did with Disney. Again, I kind of regret not meeting series Operation Green, because I didn't know I would like RPM that much. Anyways, I love rambling. Again, I don't know where they would do this. I think the closest idea I would have would be Universal Studios. Because, they can't do it at Disney anymore because Disney doesn't own them. And there really isn't another theme park I can think of off the top of my head that would be a good fit for the Power Rangers. I think Universal Studios has that potential. Unless they want to make their own park. If I'm not mistaken, I think there was supposed to be some sort of Hasbro World somewhere. I think in Australia, at Movieland maybe. If someone in the comments section wants to clarify that for me, because I could have sworn I saw a video about that. But I don't know what they could do with Power Rangers in general other than meet and greets. I mean, I don't know, a ride maybe, but I don't know. I could not tell you, other than meet and greets, in terms of, like, theme park stuff. Perhaps they could do a themed restaurant similar to the Super Sentai themed restaurant, but with my thoughts with that is Power Rangers isn't necessarily food oriented as much as Super Sentai is. I mean, I'm thinking like in Go Ranger, we see the Yellow Ranger eating curry a lot. In Kaku Ranger, the Kaku Rangers run a crepe shop when they're not fighting the yokai. There's a lot of cooking in certain episodes, too, of Super Sentai. Like, food is around in the Super Sentai franchise, and the closest thing I can think of to food connections with Power Rangers is buttery toast from SPD. God, I forgot how much I love Bridge. But anyways, that being said, like, it doesn't have to necessarily be, like, a certain food item belongs to a certain character, like Bridge's buttery toast. They could just do, like, regular food stuff, maybe theme it after, like, a Power Rangers, like, I'm going with breakfast foods just because I love breakfast food, but obviously, it doesn't have to be breakfast food. It could probably be lunch stuff, too, but, like, maybe a Power Ranger-shaped pancake, or on the bun, they do, like, a design of a ranger. They could do what they do in at the Super Sentai themed. I keep calling it a restaurant, but I think it's a cafe. Where you can get like little plates of, or like mats of like your favorite Power Rangers team. Or you can get like those little toothpicks with the characters on them. Again, there's so much potential. They can display old toys. They can display suits. Well, not anymore. Not anymore because Hasbro sold it off. But if someone were to donate, I just think there's a lot of great potential for a restaurant. And maybe even similarly, if we can find a place to display all the current Reds in Power Rangers, that'd be cool too, but I don't know. Again, everything is so up in the air with Power Rangers, and it sucks. I really wish we had more of a concrete, like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. But nope, we are stuck with apps, crappy apps, may I mention, and a bunch of Mighty Morphin shit. I'm gonna rant about that one day. I ran about it already on my Instagram page. But with that being said, that is everything I wanted to talk about with Power Rangers. What would you guys do with the franchise? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please subscribe if you love these videos. And if you want to watch the latest version of Lily's Ranger Talk, click the iCard and you'll go to the last episode. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram at Lilies_RangerWorld. I do a lot of these discussions over there. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!